I hope you are keeping well. Today I'm going to chat to you about dogs, specifically their brains, how they compare to us, and a little bit about Tasmanian tigers just for fun. So stay tuned, learn something new. The caudate nucleus is common to all brains, particularly mammals. This is the area with the richest density of dopamine receptors. Dopamine is a pleasure neurotransmitter. However, there's a lot more complexity involved with that because dopamine has several distinct pathways. This means that whilst it's often seen as the main chemical of pleasure, the current belief in pharmacology is that dopamine signals the perceived motivational importance of an outcome. It is what propels our behaviour towards or away from achieving that outcome. So because the caudate nucleus has the richest density of dopamine receptors, it activates when a person is in a state of anticipation, when something is happening and a decision must be made on that information. When the information is in positive domains, the caudate nucleus is at its strongest, which means you see something, you want to approach it and maybe consume it. From this information, we can interpret that when we see this structure active in dogs, they are experiencing something important to them, something in which they like. This parallels what we see in human brains under the same conditions. Now, dogs' brains are much smaller. The encephalization quotient for them is 1.2. The EQ for humans is around 7.5. The EQ is a measure of relative brain size between species. It is the ratio of actual to predicted brain mass relative to body mass. So, because dogs' brains are so much smaller than ours, it means they cannot do some of the things that we can do. One of the biggest of those things is language. An important area of research is figuring out what they actually understand about our speech. A dog could be understanding that words are symbolic placeholders for other things, or they could be processing human speech in a different way. It is unclear which of these two is more likely. However, they are probably linking sounds to actions without semantic quality. Humans and dogs have been bonding for 40,000 years, yet we still can't interpret their barks, wags, and other behaviour. We don't really know how they think or how they experience. We know that the caudate nucleus is associated with positive expectations. This was the part of the brain most activated in dogs when presented with the scent of a familiar person. This shows us that dogs have a positive expectation about their familiar humans, and also that these human smells remain in a dog's mind. Research done in this area may help us better understand dogs. It is commonly believed that humans have a poor sense of smell in comparison to other mammalians. This idea comes from a famous 19th century hypothesis that evolution of human free will required the olfactory bulb, a structure located in the forebrain that receives neural input about odours, to reduce in size. This is not derived from empirical studies. This means that it is not based on observed and measurable knowledge, as opposed to theory or belief. The human olfactory bulb is actually quite large and contains a similar number of neurons to other mammals, which gives us excellent olfactory abilities. We are able to detect and determine a wide range of odours and are more sensitive to rats and dogs for some of those odours. We have the ability to track odour trails as well, and our behaviour can be influenced by our sense of smell. The olfactory bulbs are bilateral, symmetrical, egg-like shaped structures near the front of the brain. Olfactory sensory neuron axons enter via the olfactory nerve at the front of each bulb, and these bulbs connect to the rest of the brain through a thin tract at the rear. This limited attachment between the bulb and the brain is a distinctive feature that can be seen across mammalian species, and it's caused the occasional misapprehension that the olfactory bulb is not part of the brain. Humans have large frontal lobes. The olfactory bulbs are flattened out and found underneath the frontal lobes. In other mammals, the bulbs are proportionally larger and located at the very front of the brain. The anatomic difference in bulb structure and position is the source of the myth that humans are microsmatic, which means a feebly developed sense of smell. The performance tracking ability of dogs and dogs who detect drugs, diseases, and explosives is a testament to trained dogs' olfactory insight. However, the untrained dog's experiences of smell have not been as well documented. We know that dogs are more responsive to odours in their environment than we are in our day-to-day lives. This is because they are snooped down almost all the time. Their noses are placed where the smells are, the ground. When dogs are sniffing, air is taken and passed through the olfactory epithelium. These are the nasal skin cells. These cells are found in an organ that is functional in snakes and lizards, many mammals such as cats, dogs, and horses, and even some humans. However, it's non-functional in the humans. The name of this organ is the vomeronasal organ and is located in the soft tissue of the nasal septum. It contains sensory neurons that detect specific liquid organic compounds which are conveyed to them from the environment. These compounds come from prey, predators, and sex pheromones from potential mates. When the vomeronasal organ is activated, a behavioural appropriate response is triggered. So, if it has come from a prey, then run. This explains a dog's tremendous ability to recognise people and animals. There is variation from breed to breed on the ability to detect scents. Long-nosed breeds are able to distinguish scents better than short-faced ones. Every dog nose is unique, kind of like our fingerprints. They each have a distinct nostril shape and pattern of ridges and dimples. The reason dogs sniff people so much is because they are gaining a lot of information about us by doing so. They know if we are a familiar person or a stranger. They also know which scents we have attracted when we've been away from them. They can detect changes in hormones and may even know when we are experiencing illness or even a bad mood. My dog always cuddles me extra when I'm feeling low. In 1936, it is believed that the thylacine, aka the Tasmanian tiger, went extinct. It was the size and the shape of a medium-sized dog and took the nickname Tasmanian tiger due to its origins and striped lower back. It is interesting that the Tasmanian tiger's brain is very different when compared to the canine brain, despite the physical resemblance of their bodies. It was a carnivorous marsupial, unrelatable to canids because they split off from other mammals over 100 years ago. Convergent evolution meant that the Tasmanian tiger, which came from a different line of descent, evolved to look like a dog because of its environmental niche being the same as that of a wild dog, explaining why the physical resemblance of the body is there, but not the brain. When analysing the Tasmanian tiger's brain, it found to resemble other marsupials such as the kangaroo, as opposed to dogs. Using said analysis, reconstructions could be made in relative size of the frontal lobe to get a sense of the problem-solving and social abilities that these dogs had. The Tasmanian tiger showed to be a very sophisticated problem solver based on all the connections in its frontal lobe. However, it was not nearly as social as a dog as we know it. Deconstruction of the Tasmanian tiger's white matter tracts, which is their neural wiring, between different regions of its brain is consistent with anecdotal evidence of it living a complex predatory life, as opposed to the scavenging niche of the Tasmanian devil. So yeah, that's a variety of information, and I'm going to finish this video by telling you some amazing things about dogs, just like some little facts. So, according to Psychology Today, a greyhound would beat a cheetah in a long distance race. This is because they can keep a speed of 35 miles an hour for 7 miles. Dogs have got 3 eyelids. Petting dogs releases oxytocin for you and for them. This is commonly referred to as the feel-good or love hormone. Sausage dogs were originally bred to fight badgers. Stray dogs in Russia have learnt to ride their subway system and stop in specific places to search for food. Dogs curl up in a ball to sleep as an age-old instinct to keep themselves warm and protect their vital organs. Dogs are not really colourblind. They don't have receptors in their eyes for red, which means they can still see in black, white, blue, and yellow. And you know what? I just realised that my dog is never going to know that I'm ginger. Wow. Well, I mean, no, he won't. Mad. 3 dogs out of the 12, I think it was, 3 of them survived the Titanic. Bulldogs and some herding dogs are small, so that the cows and bulls would miss them when they kick. This is also why corgis are so flat, so they can herd cattle. The flattened skull is there to better absorb the stress of a hoof blow. And shout out to Finn for that last fact. Yeah, so that is all the information I have got for you today. I hope that you've learned something new or at least found it interesting, and I hope that you are staying safe. As usual, all of the links for the information I got in this video will be in the description. Some of it is just like knowledge that I have from studying neuroscience at uni, but yeah, links down below. And cool, yeah, I'm out. See ya.
Small puppy. Small and mini puppy.
What about small?
With your purple streak.